So what exactly are display styles in MicroStation? Display styles allow us to view our project or design differently. What you're seeing here on the screen are two different views. View number 1 on the left, view number 2 on the right. View number 1 on the left, the display style is currently set to wireframe. And what you see on the right, view number 2, it has a display style of illustration. Now, how do we set these display styles and how can we use them in our work? So I'm going to go ahead and maximize view number 1. I'm going to go ahead and pan over. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways of accessing the display styles and setting them quickly. First one is going to be more of a slower way in my opinion, but it does give you more access to changing and editing them. So I'm going to be going to my View Attributes dialog in the upper left corner on my view border. Very first icon is View Attributes. The keyboard shortcut, Control B. On the View Attributes dialog, you can see at the top it tells me it's View Attributes and it says View 1. Just below that is the display style option, and you can see it currently says wireframe display. If I click on the down button, you're going to see a list of display styles that are available to me. Now these are coming from an external file, a dgnlib file, and if I scroll to the very bottom, you're going to see wireframe listed. Now wireframe is what we typically use in a 2D world. It also has value in a 3D world, and I'll demonstrate that a little bit later. Wireframe is one of the 3 more popular ones that we use. So you can see wireframe right here. If I select this, obviously we're already in wireframe. Now when I chose that, on my tool settings window, my tool did change to change view display style, and I can then choose it from the list on the tool settings window. It's the same list that we had in the View Attributes dialog. So if I do change it there, just to demonstrate, one of the other common ones is smooth. Now if I choose smooth, I click in the view, you can see now this is changed to smooth or shaded. I'm going to change this to another common one, which is illustration. Scroll up in my list, there's illustration, and I click in the view, and you can see what that does is it changes my background, and it also gives me edge lines. You can see these edge lines along my design here. Depending upon what it is that you need to do in your design, you may find one of those 3 to be helpful. If I go back to my View Attributes dialog and I click on the list for display styles, you can see there's a long list here. We're not going to be covering all of them. We're just going to be covering the more commonly used ones. Illustration, as I mentioned, was a very commonly used one. That's what we currently have it set to. I'm going to go ahead and show you a faster way to do this. On my keyboard, I hold down the Shift key and then I right-click. And what will appear at my cursor will be a pop-up. And on the far right side, you're going to see 3 icons. Now, I'm in a 3D file, so my Shift right-click looks different than if I was in a 2D file. On the far right side, the very top, you're going to see illustration, then we'll see shaded, and then we'll see wireframe. If I click wireframe, it instantly applies wireframe. If I do a Shift right click and I choose illustration, you can see it changes it to illustration. So that's a very quick way for you to change the display style between those 3 most commonly used ones. To make any edits to a display style, we would go back to our View Attributes dialog, and to the right of where we saw and picked a display style, there is Open Display Style Dialog button. If I click on that, this will open the display style dialog, where you're going to see on the left side a list of all the display styles. As I mentioned before, these display styles are coming from an external file. They're coming from what we call a DGN library file. It's just a MicroStation file. It has a DGN lib extension, and it's in a specific location, and MicroStation has variables pointing to it. You'll notice some are not bold and some are bold. The bold ones, just like levels in your file, if you use a level, it becomes part of your file. These become part of your file. If I hover over it, it tells me that because I used it, it's part of my file, but it exists only in the dgnlib. It doesn't technically exist here by itself. I can copy a display style and make it part of my file, but it's best to use the ones that are available to you from the DGN library files. Some of the things that we can do, if I select that particular display style to the right, this is where I can make adjustments to it. We can change it from display of shaded, we can choose wireframe, visible edges, fill visible edges. I'm going to leave it set here. We can tell it to ignore lighting. We can have it show shadows. We can even override the display of some of the elements in the file. We can change the color of everything and turn on transparency and a host of other things. So this is a way for you to make edits. Now, at any point, if you make edits to a display style and you've decided that the edits, you don't want to keep them, you want to return the display style settings back to what it was in the library. If up on the display style dialog in the top left corner, you'll see it says update from library. If you select a display style, like I have illustration selected, if this becomes enabled, that means that I have made changes to the display style and now it differs. If I click on the update from library, that will change it back to whatever the settings are in the DGN library file. If I hover back over it, you're going to see it shows me the same information, but the settings have all been returned back to what it was in the DGN library. So that's a way kind of reset it. I'm going to go ahead and close this. What we're going to look at is, why would I want to change my display styles? How is that going to practically help me? So I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So you can see my drainage inlet here, and you can see it has a hole on the side, but I can't see the other sides because I'm in a shaded mode. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate my view, and you're going to see that I have holes on the other sides. Let's say I wanted to draw a line and I wanted to start it at the center of this hole. Well, in this rotation, I can see that and it would be easy for me to do. But if I go ahead and rotate this back, in this view, I can't clearly see the hole. So if I do a shift right click, I can quickly change it to wireframe. I now can see that hole in the other side. And if I go to play Smart Line tool, I'm going to be able to snap to the features of that hole. So I can start my line there. I'll go ahead and rotate my compass to intersect the center. Then I can draw it out like this. And there it is. In a shaded mode, I would not have been able to do that. Now I can set it back to illustration, shift right click, choose illustration. And now if I rotate my view, you can see I started my line exactly there in the center. So switching between shaded and wireframe is very helpful. There's going to be times when you're going to want to do that, and the fastest way for you to do that is doing a shift right click and then choosing one of the three options here on the side. Now if you want to choose something a little bit different from these, that's where you'll have to open the View Attributes dialog to make those changes. Sometimes the lighting for your model may be too dark or too light. And how we can adjust this is on our view border at the top left. Third icon is Adjust View Brightness. If I click on that, I've got an option here where I can slide this bar to lighten or darken it. So if I slide it to the left, you can see it becomes much darker. And if I slide it to the right, you can see it becomes much lighter. What you'd want to do is just slide it to a point where you like it. You hold the button down, drag it, you release. And if that's to your liking, then you can just press reset and it's set. Now, this is all a design file setting. So if you do change a display style, like I've been doing, and you do change your lighting like I did, and you want that to be remembered, you'd want to do a Save Settings, the keyboard shortcut, Control F. That'll let you save that off. So that's the short version of what display styles are and how you can use them within your file. Hopefully you found this helpful, and you need to practice, 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 and we'll see you in the next video.